today is going to be a little bit of a bonus video of all things go to plan. I am very excited about new releases coming out because I got so excited last month for all the October releases for this month that I really wanted to share my November releases with you. So buckle up kids, here we go! Hi guys, my name is Cassie and welcome to Upside Down Books. As I said, this is not going to be a usual day that I post on. I've been a massive fan of new releases lately. In September when I went through all of the releases for October, I bought so many and requested so many of the books because I just got so excited about them. So today, instead of just doing it on my blog, which I usually do, I'm going to share them on YouTube as well. Obviously that means I do have a full blog post on the 1st of November, which hopefully will be when this goes up as well, but we will see. I'm going to be posting that so you guys can go and have a read of that as well. So if you usually follow my blog, then you'll see that and whatever. There is a blog version of this is just the same content, but I'm excitedly yelling at you instead. I've broken it up into a few genres and I'm going to be pretty much consulting my laptop. I know the orange case is quite hideous, I do apologise. I do have quite a few books to share with you today because there are so many books that are coming out that I'm excited about, and I'm going to break them up and go through them by genre. I'm going to give you a short description of each of them as well. Okay, so we're going to crack this off starting in fantasy. The first book coming up I'm going to talk about is The Confectioner's Coup by Claire Luana. Now this is the sequel to The Confectioner's Chronicles, which I just finished reading. The first book is called The Confectioner's Guild. This is a very light-hearted, fluffy and fun fantasy read that I highly recommend. It is all about a girl called Ren who is an orphan taken in by a baker, and she's extremely good at baking. Her skills are picked up by the guildmasters because this is a world with magic, and magic can be like made into food basically, and she is part of the Confectioner's Guild, so she bakes her magic into food. Sounds really lame, but it's really fun, and the whole plot kicks off when one of her cupcakes kills someone instead of bringing them good luck like they should have done, and she's basically framed for a murder, so it's this whole crazy silly murder mystery as she tries to clear her name. This one is coming out on the 19th of November. The second book that I will be talking about is Empress of All Seasons by Emiko Jean. Now this one I'm really intrigued about. This has a bit of a Japanese inspired fantasy feel to it, which is great when I'm coming just off the back of Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. In this one we have every generation women competing to become the next empress, and they basically have to go through several magical or enchanted rooms within the palace and defeat each of the seasons. So each of them are themed towards, you know, winter, autumn, spring and summer, and they have to get through all of them so that they can marry the prince. And I just think that concept sounds fabulous and I'm 100% down for it. This one is coming out on the 6th of November. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Engan. I'm really never sure with these names. So there's basically this peasant class called the paper class, and the paper girls are recruited by the king to serve him, but there's this one girl that they discover who is made of fire rather than paper, and I'm a little bit confused by the description, but it just sounds like it's going to be this really fantastical tale. It does have trigger warnings for sexual abuse and violence, but it just sounds like it's, yeah, I actually can't really explain it any better than that to you, so maybe go look up the blurb for this one yourself. It is also coming out on the 6th of November. Coming out on the 27th of November is Amber and Dusk by Lyra Celine. Now this one sounds really cool. It's got a bit of a French vibe to it with some sort of, I don't know, Arabian Nights vibes to it. It's just set in a desert. I think that's all the Arabian is coming from. There is one girl who lives in the Dusklands and she has magic and is told that this is a curse, but she's no fool and she knows that actually this can get her a lot of power. So she sets off and journeys into the main city. And this is the Amber City, and there's a whole lot of court drama that basically is going to follow that. So I'm really looking forward to throwing magic into what feels like a nice rich fantasy world with a bit of desert traversing. Should be quite a good one. Also coming out on the 6th of November, it's apparently a big day in November, is The Wren Hunt, which I do actually own a copy of, but I can't be bothered getting down for you because it's on the top of my bookshelf. I got this arc ages ago. I had no idea it was being released this late in the year. I'm wondering whether it's a re-release. Basically this one is a sort of fairy tale vibes fantasy story where a girl called Ren is chased through the forest by these people called the Judges, who are these sort of evil figures, and her village used to have magic to fight them off. They don't anymore, so in order to kind of defeat the enemy and know the enemy more, she becomes an intern to a judge in disguise, which I just think, yep, you've got to go to the enemy's side to defeat them. And so she's going to learn to use their magic by doing that, and I just think this sounds wonderful, and I really should have read it by now. Coming out also on the 27th of November is Outrun the Winds by Elizabeth Tammy. This one has some Greek mythology sort of heritage going to it. Based off the story of Artemis, so the main character manages to escape an unfortunate life and joins the hunt. And these are a group of female warriors. Apart from just that, I don't need any more information to know that I want to read that. There are some deeper elements to the story of her helping a friend like not get stuck in this marriage, using some sort of intricate plot. It just sounds like it's going to really use the Greek mythology elements nicely, and I'm loving any book that is just a band of female warriors. I think that's going to be really fun. Coming out on the 8th of November is The Little Snake by A. L. Kennedy. I believe this is actually classed as adult fiction / fantasy, and I have no idea what this is really about, but the blurb is basically trying to hint at us that there is this girl who lives in this made-up city, and she befriends this little golden snake that appears to her, and he appears to her at different points in her life when the city is at war and all sorts of things, but there's some sort of fate or destiny that means at some point the snake will break her heart and they won't be able to be friends anymore, and I think it's some sort of tale about whether friendship is worth it if you know you can't have it forever. I have no idea what the story really is from that, but I'm definitely sold and want to know more. Coming out on the 5th of November is Saving Death by R.L. Endy, and this is published by Of Tomes Publishing, so you probably, if you're watching this, are maybe familiar with Benjamin Of Tomes, who's a popular British booktuber, and this is his publishing company. I've not actually read any of the books from there yet, so I'm really excited about this one. Sounds like it's going to be a gothic romance. Talks about black magic and primal loyalties and all sorts of things. Not much is given away from the blurb. I would recommend going and checking out the blurb just to have a read of what this one is about, but it sounds like it's going to be a pretty fun gothic read. We do not get enough gothic fiction. The next book that's coming out on the 13th of November is Empire of Sand by Tashi Suri. Now, I'm really excited about this one because it has Mughal Indian inspirations in its creation, and since I'm the biggest fan of Colleen Houck, who wrote an Indian-inspired mythology sort of series in Tiger's Curse, I have high hopes for this one. I honestly don't even care any more than the fact that this is that sort of fantasy story. But it does follow a nobleman's daughter who has magic in her blood, and she accidentally catches the attention of one of the Emperor's mystics, which is a bad thing, and she's trying to avoid their cruel agendas, and it is basically a threat that if she isn't, I guess, able to avoid these cruel ways, that the gods will come down and a rage of vengeance. So I don't know what's gonna go on here, but I'm pretty interested to find out more. Then on the 20th of November we are getting another book from George R.R. Martin, which is Fire and Blood. Now this is not the next installment to the Game of Thrones series. I don't think we're ever gonna actually get that one, but this is a spin-off series telling us the history of one or two of the families. I'm sure it'll be good. It's about over 700 pages, so if you've got the time to dedicate to this one, then there you go. The next one is a children's fantasy novel called Angel and Bavar, written by Amy Wilson, and that is coming out on the 6th of November. This one is Beauty and the Beast inspired telling, and Angel moves to a new town, or just a new school, and there's an interesting kid there called Bavar. He lives in a magical house where there is like a rift between the worlds that has opened up and let monsters come through. For whatever reasons, he's very reluctant to make friends with other people, but he finds out that the monsters in his house are the same ones that killed Angel's parents, and so they team up to try and fix the rift between the worlds before it's too late. I think this one sounds fabulous. The next one coming out on the 1st of November, which I really want to try and get my hands on a copy of, is Vita Nostra. Didn't need to say that like that, but I did. It's by Marina and Sergei Dyashenko, and it's a Ukrainian bestseller fantasy novel, so it's been translated into English for the first time, and it sounds incredible. My way of summarising this book, but please just go and read the blurb because it's so much more compelling, is that there is a sort of peasant girl, I believe she is, and she is enticed by a man to do these very odd tasks for like golden coins, and so she does them because the reward is worth it, and they just keep going and keep going, and she keeps doing different tasks until eventually he gets her to go to this school. And at this school, where she doesn't really want to be, but she is because of him, and it sounds like she might be a little bit bewitched by him. The lessons are more than impossible. She can't memorize anything, like it's like there's a spell over it so that you can't really learn, and every time that she fails at something, her family gets punished. So there's this underlying really dark element to it. I think it's going to be a really fantastic novel, so I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of this one. That brings us into the sci-fi section. The first book that I have listed as coming out in November is The Splintered Silence by Kayla Olson. I actually have this one pre-ordered already, and it's coming out on the 13th of November. This one is a space opera, and basically on this space station, the first generation of people on there are wiped out by a deadly virus. So the main character is the daughter of the captain, leader, or whatever it is, and she finds herself in this captain position, and all's hunky-dory for not very long until people start to die again, and they're presenting the symptoms from the virus, but the second generation is supposed to be immune. So it's a bit of a murder mystery, as we're led to believe that actually people are killing them in very suspicious ways, and they've got to work out how to stop it before everything falls apart. This sounds incredible. I just can't wait to read this. We have not got very many sci-fis like this coming out, so I'm just snatching at them whenever I see them. The next sci-fi novel that's coming out is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, and that's coming out on the 6th of November. This one sounds really compelling. I probably won't pick it up because I've got other Brandon Sanderson books to read, and I haven't got around to them yet. here, but this one, there is humans are on the brink of extinction because of these star-fighting aliens that are wiping them out, and they don't really know who they are. They're a bit mysterious. The main character has always wanted to be a pilot, and one day she finds this abandoned ship that she decides she's going to learn to fly, and the plot thickens when we find out that the ship basically has a soul, and I'm probably going to end up buying this one anyway. It just sounds so good. The next sci-fi book is Navigating the Stars by Maria V. Snyder, and that's coming out on the 19th of November. This one has a very interesting plot, and I will almost certainly be getting my hands on a copy of this one. In this world, the main character's parents are archaeologist experts. They basically discover terracotta warriors on other planets, and I'm sold. Terracotta warriors, why not? So they basically go traveling onto these other planets, and the story is about her finding more about why there are terracotta warriors and what their plans are, and it sounds like the main character's a real sass bag as well, so I'm 100% down for this. Moving on to historical fiction, the first book that I have is Pulp by Robin Talley, coming out on the 23rd of November. Now this one is lesbian fiction, LGBT+, and it follows two dual perspectives. It's set in 1955 with also a modern perspective. It is about a lesbian woman and the struggles of being gay during the 50s in a very unaccepting time period, and her wanting to write stories and trying to keep her secrets and her feelings to herself. The modern perspective character is studying this period. She's studying 1950s lesbian pulp fiction and basically getting some perspective on her own problems. Sounds like it'll be just a nice, heartwarming, good tale, I hope. And the second historical fiction book that I found is called Wolves of Eden by Kevin McCarthy, and that one is coming out on the 6th of November. Now this one is a bit of an old western telling, and I haven't read one of these ever, but this is set in 1866 in America, I think nope, I can't remember which state, but there are a bunch of cowboys basically who are set about, no, I don't think they are cowboys, but they ride horses and they're Americans, so they're cowboys. There are some escaped murderers and they're going to bring them in to bring them to justice, and we also have a parallel story about some Irish immigrants and how they were fighting in the Civil War, and now that that's done, they're a little bit lost and not really enjoying the migrant life, so I think they come into the story because of that. So it's a little bit, this is a very long blurb and I didn't have the time to digest it all, but basically I'm down for a western historical fiction. Moving into the contemporary genre, the first book I have is 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, and that one is coming out on the 20th of November. Now this one sounds like we're going to be getting some The Fault in the Stars vibes here. We have a girl who needs a lung transplant and she is not allowed to be within 6 feet of anyone else she might jeopardize her position on the waiting list. She's been in and out of hospitals her whole life and she's quite frankly fed up of it. There is also a boy that comes into the story and the title is called 5 Feet Apart and she has to be 6 feet apart from people, so I think we know what's gonna happen here. The next book I had listed is called The Boomerang Effect by Gordon Jack, and this one's coming out on the 8th of November. This one sounds totally ridiculous, has a bit of a fun cover going for it, and it's about a kid who is basically about to drop out of school, and in order to not do that he has to participate in a mentorship program, and his mentor is a Norwegian exchange student. And go and read the blurb, and I feel like if you're having a bad day, this could be a funny read to lift your spirits. The next book is Mammoth by Jill Bakuchinsky, and that one is coming out on the 8th of November. Now this one sounds really intriguing. It's a bit of a woman empowering novel from the sounds of it. A girl who studies paleontology, which we never read about in books these days. No one writes about dinosaurs, and I love dinosaurs. She lands a really highly sought after internship in like Texas or something like that to go on a big Arctic dig, or not Arctic dig, Ice Age dig, that's what it is, and she gets to work with the heroes and all is great, but along the side she's also a fashion blogger, and I think she kind of uses that to bolster her self-image, and she's very self-conscious, and obviously that sort of lifestyle doesn't fit on the dig site, so stripped of that she's a little bit nervous and trying to stand up for herself, that sort of thing. But then there's a really cute guy on the dig as well who steals credit for a big find that she discovers, and so the story then turns into her trying to stand out in a male-dominated field, and I am all down for this book. In fact, I really need to get on and pre-order this. I have one book that is a thriller slash mystery, and that is called Daughters of the Lake by Wendy Webb, and it's coming out on the 1st of November. This one is a mystery where after a marriage ended, the main character retreats to her parents' house, which is out of the way, but when she gets there, she finds the woman of a dead body. Dun dun dun! And then the plot thickens more when she realizes that the woman is also holding a baby that is dead as well, and no one can identify her except the main character, because the main character has seen her before in her dreams, and there's sort of the suggestions that there's this big generational throwback and stories passed through the family about this woman, and I think she's going to be the only one that can really solve the mystery. The blurb makes it sound like it's going to be a comforting mystery, like there's some sort of nice connection that'll happen between the dream version of the dead woman, and I don't know. I'm very intrigued though. And the final book that I have to share with you is a short story called Fox 8 by George Saunders, coming out on the 13th of November. Now this one I actually really want to get. I never read short stories, I very rarely talk about them, and I've not heard of George Saunders before, but he's a well-acclaimed novelist, or short story writer, I don't know, he's written a few other things. This sounds adorable. It is basically a critique on what humanity is doing to animals, and it's from the perspective of a fox. His fox ate in his pack. He learns to speak human by listening to the bedtime stories of a family in a house by hiding in the bushes. It's a little bit Frankenstein-y if you've read Frankenstein. If not, that makes no sense. Moving on. He learns a few things like this, and he uses the knowledge when basically the humans start encroaching on the fox's territory and taking away the woods and where they're living to try and save his pack as humans threaten their existence. So I just think it just sounds like it's going to be a beautiful story about this little fox trying to save his little clan, and I can't wait to read it, even if the cover is hideous. Okay, those are all the books coming out in November that I'm excited about, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you are excited about some of these books as well. Let me know down in the comments below which book in November you are most anticipating. But other than that, I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.